What is up, Chiefs fans? Welcome back to the Chiefs Report. And today we opened up the YouTube community, asked for some questions, and we got a bunch. But the first one comes from my guy DJ on Twitter. He DM'd me this question saying, "What do you think about this of the Chiefs trading for a second-round draft pick for Khalil Mack?" Well, in theory, that sounds awesome. This defensive line needs help. Why not go out and get a guy who has proven himself time in and time out, Khalil Mack? The problem with this, well, he's a part of the Los Angeles Chargers, which means it's a division rival, and I doubt they're really exploring trade opportunities to anybody inside the division, especially the Chiefs who have had their numbers. Again, though, I like the idea. You look at the stats, it makes sense. 50 tackles for loss, 50 tackles, 12 tackles for loss. He's all around the quarterback. He's always surrounding the ball. So, again, in theory, I like that idea. The problem is division rivals. I just don't see that happening at any point this season, or really at all with these two teams trading. The next question I got here, Narnia1086 said, "Do you think KC could go for Akiem Hicks?" Again, trying to bolster up that defensive line. I kind of like this one. It's a guy who has a veteran presence. He knows what he's doing out there on the field. Although his stats over the past 3 years haven't really been impressive, so to say, they're not bad. And considering your defensive line depth, anybody's going to help, especially a guy who has been in the league for this long and has played as many games as he had in the past 3 seasons. Obviously, missed a couple games last year, missed a good amount of 2021, but seems healthy, and he's a guy out there that if Chris Jones continues this holdout, maybe you go out, you sign him, you take him, try and bolster up the defensive line depth. I want to hear from you, though. Would you sign Akiem Hicks? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Again, I want to hear what you got to think. Would you sign Akiem Hicks? I like the idea. I think it just kind of depends whether or not the Chris Jones holdout situation continues. Obviously, that's a day-to-day story that we continue to follow. The hope is that we get Chris Jones back, and that really bolsters your defensive line. But if not, you need to start thinking about every single option. And Akiem Hicks is one of those options you got to take a look at. The next question we're going to go to from Colby Krishner. He said, "Who do you think is going to step up if Chris Jones never shows up and Omenihu is suspended? Karlaftis?" I think you hit it right on the nose. Karlaftis is the guy that you're going to have to lean on without Chris Jones and without Omenihu should the Jones holdout continue, and obviously Omenihu being suspended for those first 6 games. Karlaftis here, he has a pretty good stat line. Obviously, last year it took him a little bit to get going. The first 10 games only had a half sack. 18 tackles for loss, though, is nothing to blink an eye at. The last 7 games really picked up the pressure rate, really got in the backfield, hit the QB one more time than he did in the first 10 games. But he has shown the last 7 games of last year that he's a guy that can be dealt with. So I think Karlaftis, he is that guy. He's got to be the one to step up without Chris Jones, without Omenihu. And right now, he's obviously sick in training camp. We'll see if he can come back today, tomorrow, whatever, we'll see. Either way, he should be ready in time for week 1. And no matter what, if Chris Jones isn't there, Omenihu's obviously not going to be there. You're going to need him to step up in a huge way. And I got to be honest, that first game without Chris Jones and without Omenihu, should that stay the case, we really need to see Karlaftis get in the backfield because he potentially could be the only pressure we see from this Chiefs defensive line. Let's get a sub here. Sub for the Chiefs, Dubs. Come on, week 1 is under 2 weeks away, and come on, it's proven. If you subscribe to the Chiefs Report, youtube.com/ChiefsTV, the Chiefs are going to go, they're going to go undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl, win everything. Week 1, again, just 2 weeks away. We're just under that. So subscribe to the Chiefs Report, and I guarantee you the Chiefs will win every single game. Let's go into the next question. Tony said, "The Chiefs did well without Hill, so I believe we can do well without Jones." Well, Tony, I don't know. I think you might be in the minority in that thought process. As with Hill, well, let's just say you had Patrick Mahomes, you had Travis Kelce. There really wasn't a big ideal in terms of trade. You obviously took away your best receiver, but besides that, there kind of wasn't much there. But after that, you trade Jones, you take him out of the equation, there is not a captain of this defense anymore. There's nobody on this defensive line that I think has the ability to do what Chris Jones does. In fact, there may be nobody in the NFL that could do what Chris Jones does. And on this defense, you look at the secondary, you look at everybody surrounding this entire defensive squad, it kind of doesn't make sense. So again, let's move to the next question. In light of how the Chiefs dealt with Tyreek Hill, could they trade Jones? And who would be a likely trade partner, and what picks would they want in return? Let's take a quick look at that Tyreek Hill trade. So obviously, Chiefs got the first-round pick this past year, along with the second and fourth-round pick from the Dolphins, and then a fourth and sixth-round pick. That one was this year, the 2022, 2 years ago. This is not apples to apples. This is not comparable. Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones are completely different pieces when you add them into the equation of the offense for the Chiefs and the defense for the Chiefs. Chris Jones did something that was really unheard of all last year. Again, 44 tackles for loss, 15 and a half sacks, and then 29 QB hits, 2 forced fumbles. He was really just a menace in the backfield for the Chiefs. You can't compare a guy like that to Tyreek Hill because Hill had behind him Mahomes and Kelsey, whereas the depth in this defensive line for the Chiefs, well, let's just say George Karlaftis is not going to be Patrick Mahomes, to say the least. It doesn't really look good. Danny Shelton will step in for Chris Jones. Hugh obviously going to be suspended. Michael Dana on the other edge there with Karlaftis. I really don't like this defensive line without Chris Jones. Karlaftis has potential, but I don't think we've seen enough for him to have him as a number one guy on a defensive line. So overall, again, I don't think you can compare these two trades or these two guys and say that they're the same thing, losing them. Another question we got was from Scott here. He said, how well do you see Justyn Ross and Rashee Rice playing in their first regular season game for KC? Well, first of all, we got to see if Justyn Ross makes the squad. He's not even guaranteed to be on the 53-man roster, but both Ross and Rice have had really good preseasons. You see the stats right there. They've played very, very well. So, again, I think it just depends on whether or not that we can get Justyn Ross on this squad. Overall, it's tough to see if we're going to get him, but I want to know from you, does Justyn Ross deserve a spot on the 53-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no in the comments. Get in there again. Y for yes, N for no. I think he deserves it. Patrick Mahomes has loved him in practices, and Rashee Rice has obviously looked good, but Ross here, the one, it's going to be really hard to leave him on the practice squad because you don't want to see him get picked up by somebody. I think this is a definite Y. If you agree with me, type Y in the comments. If you don't, type in and maybe put in there Y. I really don't see at this point what exactly he's done wrong. Everything he's done has been exactly what he's been asked to do. Again, the wide receiver depth, though, is pretty tough, so I think we will just have to wait and see. If you're not subscribed, subscribe youtube.com/ChiefsTV. We'll be back here tomorrow for the watch party. Browns and Chiefs, the last preseason game of the season for the Chiefs.